Today we are dealing with the 9th chapter of your text, Snapshots, right? The 9th chapter titled Bholi. So we begin with the readout of the story. As we read along, I'll give you the explanation as well, as we have been dealing so far, right? Her name was Sulekha, but since her childhood, everyone had been calling her Bholi, the simpleton. All right, now Bholi is a Hindi word, right? Which means a simpleton, a simple fellow, Bhola, Bholi. She was the fourth daughter of Nambardar Ramlal. When she was 10 months old, she had fallen off the cot on her head, and perhaps it had damaged some part of her brain. That was why she remained a backward child and came to be known as Bholi, the simpleton. So she was the fourth daughter, right, of a person named Nambardar Ramlal. And when Bholi was 10 months old, she had fallen out of the bed and landed on her head. And maybe that is the reason why she became a simpleton. And since then, everybody had been calling her Bholi. At birth, the child was very fair and pretty. But when she was 2 years old, she had an attack of smallpox. Only the eyes were saved, but the entire body was permanently disfigured by deep black pockmarks. Little Sulekha could not speak till she was 5. And when at last she learned to speak, she stammered. The other children often made fun of her and mimicked her. As a result, she talked very little. Ramlal had 7 children, 3 sons and 4 daughters, and the youngest of them was Bholi. It was a prosperous farmer's household, and there was plenty to eat and drink. All the children, except Bholi, were healthy and strong. The sons had been sent to the city to study in schools and later in colleges. Of the daughters, Radha, the eldest, had already been married. So second daughter, Mangla's marriage had also been settled. And when that was done, Ramlal would think of the third, Champa. They were good-looking, healthy girls, and it was not difficult to find bridegrooms for them. But Ramlal was worried about Bholi. She had neither good looks nor intelligence. All right. So she had all the disadvantages which one could think of. All right. She wasn't a quick learner as well. She didn't start speaking till she was 5 years old. Normally, toddlers and newborns start speaking when they are about a year old, year and a half, 2 at the latest. But she started speaking only till when she turned 5. And even when she started speaking, she stammered. All right. What is stammering? Or kinde bol rahe hain, they cannot speak clearly. And because of that, she was made fun of. Not only did she have that problem with the speech, there was a problem with the physical side as well. She had been a victim of smallpox, as a result of which, besides her eyes, her entire body was covered in deep black poke marks, all right? So she wasn't pretty to look at. She did not have the intelligence. She did not have a clear way of speaking as well. And because of that, all the others made fun of her. The other sisters that she had, they were all good looking and intelligent, all right? One of them had already been married off. The other was planning to get married. The third also, the father was confident that she would have no problem finding a groom. But he was worried about Bholi, because she was neither good looking nor she had any intelligence. Bholi was 7 years old when Mangla was married. The same year, a primary school for girls was opened in the village. The Tehsildar Sahib came to perform its opening ceremony. He said to Ramlal, "As a revenue official, you are the representative of the government in the village, and you must set an example to the villagers. You must send your daughters to school." That night, when Ramlal consulted his wife, she cried, "Are you crazy? If girls go to school, who will marry them?" But Ramlal had not the courage to disobey the Tehsildar. At last his wife said, I'll tell you what to do. Send Bholi to school. As it is, there is little chance of her getting married, with her ugly face and lack of sense. Let the teachers at school worry about her. So this story was set in a time where girls were deprived of any education. Their qualification was based on how they could cook, all right, how they look and how they would take care of the household. Women were supposed to be housewives. And that is why Bholi's brothers were sent for higher education and sisters were deprived of any education. Now the third sister, Mangla, also got married. And by that time, Bholi was 7 years old. And at that time, there came about a change in the village in the form of a primary school. And the Tehsildar, all right, he came and he approached Bholi's father and he told him that, Ramlal, you are a revenue official, all right, you're a government servant to this village. And you, as a servant of the government, you must set an example for the rest of the village. You must send your daughters to school. Your daughters must get educated. And when he couldn't say no to the Tehsildar, all right? He cannot tell his officer, no, I will not send my daughters. So he had a talk with his wife, and his wife was angry at that idea too. She said that what will they do going to school? If they go to school and get an education, who will marry them? All right? And even as a mother, she disliked Bholi, all right? She thought that she had none of the good qualities and she will never get married. So she ultimately suggested that since you cannot say no to the Tehsildar, you send Bholi to school, all right? As it is, she is ugly, all right? I don't want her around the house. She's not getting married as well. Nobody's going to marry her later on. So let the teachers at the school deal with her. So it was ultimately decided that Bholi would be the one who would go to school to get an education. The next day, Ramlal caught Bholi by the hand and said, come with me, I'll take you to school. Bholi was frightened. She did not know what a school was like. She remembered how a few days ago the old cow Lakshmi had been turned out of the house and sold. No, 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 she shouted in terror and pulled her hand away from her father's grip. What's the matter with you, you fool? Shouted Ramlal. I'm only taking you to school. Then he told his wife, let her wear some decent clothes today, or else what will the teachers and the other schoolgirls think of us when they see her? New clothes had never been made for Bholi. The old dresses of her sisters were passed on to her. No one cared to mend or wash her clothes. But today, she was lucky to receive a clean dress, which had shrunk after many washing and no longer fitted Champa. She was even bathed and oiled, and oil was rubbed into her dry and matted hair. Only then did she begin to believe that she was being taken to a place better than her home. When they reached the school, the children were already in their classrooms. Ramlal handed over his daughter to the headmistress, left alone. The poor girl looked about her with fear-laden eyes. There were several rooms, and in each room, girls were like her, squatted on mats, reading from books or writing on slates. The headmistress asked Bholi to sit down in the corner of one of the classrooms. So now it was decided that Bholi would be sent to school. So the father came up to Bholi and he said, come, let's go, I'll take you to school. But Bholi was afraid, all right, because she thought that just like how their cow Lakshmi, all right, when the cow had turned old, they had thrown the cow out of the house, all right, they had sold off the cow, and she thought that they are selling me off, all right, they don't want me. So she said no, but then the father said, are you a fool? I'm just taking you to school. And he told his wife, give her some clean clothes, oil her hair, all right, because she will now be in the school with other people. There will be other elders from the villages as well. So if they see her in this condition, they will think bad of us. So for the first time in her life, Bholi got clean clothes, all right. Before then, nobody cared about her. She used to wear dirty clothes, torn clothes, nobody mended it for her. Her hair was never combed, never oiled. But this time, she got a bath as well. Her hair was oiled and she got a clean set of clothes, even though it wasn't brand new, all right? It was something which no longer fitted her sister Champa, but still, it was a clean set of clothes. And when she got all those things, then only she realized that, okay, maybe I am going to some place better than my house. So she went without a fight. When she reached the school, she saw there were several rooms. And in each room there were girls like her squatted on the floor. All right? There were mats placed on the floor of the classroom and everyone was sitting down on the floor. And the headmistress came up and Bholi was afraid of her. But she just told her to sit in one corner of the classroom. Bholi did not know what exactly a school was like and what happened there. But she was glad to find so many girls almost her own age present there. She hoped that one of these girls might become her friend. The lady teacher who was in the class was saying something to the girls, but Bholi could understand nothing. So she felt at ease, all right, when she started spending time in the class, because she looked around and she saw other girls who were just like her age. They looked like her, they were seated on the floor, and teacher was teaching and the other girls were responding. But she could not respond, for she was never educated. She had never been outside of her house. She looked at the pictures on the wall. The colors fascinated her. The horse was brown, just like the horse on which the Tehsildar had come to visit the village. The goat was black, like the goat of the neighbor. The parrot was green, like the parrot she had seen in the mango orchard. And the cow was just like the Lakshmi. And suddenly Bholi noticed that the teacher was standing by her side, smiling at her. See, she could not understand any of the words that the teacher was saying, all right? But she looked at the picture and she enjoyed that. She saw that there was a picture of a horse, and the horse was brown in color, and she had just seen a brown horse on which the Tehsildar had rode on. She saw a black, sheep, black goat, and the goat was exactly like their neighbors. She saw a parrot which was green, and she had seen green parrots. So she was fascinated by all those things, all right? And till then, she had not noticed that a teacher was standing just beside her, and she was looking at Bholi and smiling. "What is your name, little one?" But you know, she stammers, right? She doesn't have a clear diction, so she stammered. She could stammer no further than that. Then she began to cry, and tears flowed from her eyes in a helpless flood. She kept her head down as she sat in her corner, not daring to look up at the girls who she knew were still laughing at her. When the school bell rang, all the girls scurried out of the classroom, but Bholi dared not leave her corner. Her head still lowered, she kept on sobbing. Bholi, the teacher's voice was so soft and soothing. In all her life, she had never been called like that. It touched her heart. So she could not even enunciate her own name, all right? She could not even speak out her own name. She was just stuck at Bho, 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 and the other children started laughing and she started crying. And she did not look up at all. The bell rang, all the children went out, and she was still crying. And suddenly she heard a very sweet voice calling out her name, and that was her teacher. All right, she said, "Bholi, get up," said the teacher. It was not a command, but just a friendly suggestion. So she was not used to kindness, all right? Maybe she was ill-treated at home as well. So she wasn't used to kindness. The teacher didn't even command her. She just asked her, "Get up. Now tell me your name." Sweat broke out over her whole body. Would her stammering tongue again disgrace her? For the sake of this kind woman, however, she decided to make an effort. She had such a soothing voice, she would not laugh at her. But, she began to stammer. Well done, the teacher encouraged her. "Come on now, the full name." Bholi. At last she was able to say it and felt relieved as if it was a great achievement. "Well done," the teacher patted her affectionately and said, "Put the fear out of your heart and you will be able to speak like everyone else." Bholi looked up as if to ask, really? So the teacher was there and she was still adamant, all right? She hadn't given up on her. She told her, all right, Bholi, you tell me your name. She tried, all right? She wanted to try from her heart because this woman had been kind to her. So she did not want to disappoint that woman and she actually tried. And once again, she was stuck at Bho. And the teacher encouraged her further, you can do it. And finally, she was able to say her name, Bholi. And then the teacher said, don't be afraid, all right? You must not give up. You must keep trying. Don't think that you are lower than anybody else. Very soon you'll be able to speak just like these other girls. The point here is, don't give up. And she found it very hard to believe. She looked at the teacher in a way as if she was asking her, really, all right, can I ever achieve that kind of a thing? Yes, yes. It'll be very easy. You just need to come to school every day. Will you come? Bholi nodded. No. Say it aloud. Yes. And Bholi herself was astonished that she had been able to say it. Didn't I tell you? Now take this book. The book was full of nice pictures and the pictures were in color. Dog, cat, goat, horse, parrot, tiger, and a cow just like Lakshmi. And with every picture was the word in a big black letters. In 1 month you will be able to read this book. Then I'll give you a bigger book. And then still a bigger one. In time you will be more learned than anyone else in the village. Then no one will ever be able to laugh at you. People will listen to you with respect and you will be able to speak without the slightest stammer. Understand? Now go home and come back early tomorrow. Bholi felt as if suddenly all the bells in the village temple were ringing and the trees in front of the schoolhouse had blossomed into big red flowers. Her heart was throbbing with a new hope and a new life. So the teacher said, all you need to do is, you come to school regularly. Then you'll be able to do it. Will you do it? And Bholi said, she tried. She stammered a bit, but she was able to say yes. And that amazed her also. And the teacher said, see, as long as you don't give up, you can do it. Then the teacher handed her a book. The book was full of pictures, all right? Cow, dog, horse, all the animals. And below the picture, there were names of the animals written in big bold letters. And the teacher said, in a month, you will be able to read this. All right, come to school every day. Within a month, you'll be able to read this book easily. Then I'll give you a bigger book. And then as time goes on, if you keep dedicating yourself, there is nothing you will not be able to achieve, all right? No one can stop you as long as you don't give up. You will no longer need to stammer. You will speak just like the rest of the people that are present in the classroom with you. Understood? Now go home and come back early morning tomorrow. Now this was the first time Bholi felt that her life could mean something other than being disgraced in the corner of the house. She felt something that she had never felt before. She felt as if all the bells in the temple were ringing, all right? She felt as if all the trees had started blossoming. She started looking positively towards the future, all right? So for the years passed, the village became a small town. The little primary school became a high school. There were now a cinema under a tin shed and a cotton ginning mill. The mail train began to stop at the railway station. So slowly time passed by and progressed, all right, development took place. The small village became a town, there was a cinema place, there was a railway platform. So development was taking at a steady pace. One night after dinner, Ramlal said to his wife, then, shall I accept? So one night, Ramlal, if you remember, is Bholi's father. Then shall I accept Bishambar's proposal? Yes, certainly, his wife said. Bholi will be lucky to get such a well-to-do bridegroom, a big shop, a house of his own, and I hear several thousand in the bank. Moreover, he is not asking for any dowry. That's right, but he is not so young, almost the same age as I am. And he also limps. Moreover, the children from his first wife are quite grown up. So, somehow there has come a marriage proposal from Bholi, alright? Now the mother thinks that he will be a good bridegroom because he has money in his bank account. He has a big shop, alright? But the father has his doubts. He says, yes, all those qualities are fine, but then he is an old man. He's almost as old as I am, alright? So Bholi's would-be husband is as old as her father. And not only that, he has children from his previous marriage who are quite grown up as well, maybe near about Bholi's age. Also, he has a limp, alright? So, what does it matter? His wife replied. 45 or 50, it is no great age for a man. We are lucky that he is from another village and does not know about her pockmarks and a lack of sense. If we don't accept this proposal, she will remain unmarried all her life. But the mother's reasoning is that we are lucky that she even has a proposal, all right? And we are lucky that he's from another village. He doesn't know about Bholi. He doesn't know about the mark she has on her face, all right? He doesn't know that she is ugly looking. So if we don't accept his proposal, she will never get married, is what her mother says. Yes, but I wonder what Bholi will say. What will that witless one say? She is like a dumb cow. Maybe you are right, muttered Ramlal. In the other corner of the courtyard, Bholi lay awake on her cot, listening to her parents' whispered conversation. Bishambarnath was a well-to-do grocer. He came with a big party of friends and relations with him for the wedding. A brass band playing a popular tune from a Indian film headed the procession. With the bridegroom riding a decorated horse, Ramlal was overjoyed to see such pomp and splendor. He had never dreamt that his fourth daughter would have such a grand wedding. Bholi's elder sister, who had come for the occasion, were envious of her luck. So finally they decided, all right, and the father still had his doubts. Well, so the father still had his doubts. So what was his doubt is that, what would Bholi say? All right, she is the one who is to get married. What will she say about this? And the mother, like always, is very unsupportive of Bholi. She says, what has she got to say? She is a witless dumb cow. All right, whatever we say, we will have. And so father agrees reluctantly, all right. He wasn't too willing. He was more or less thinking about Bholi's take on the matter as well. So finally they agreed, and all this while Bholi was sitting on the cot, all right. A cot is a bed, all right, makeshift bed. She was sitting on it and listening to her parents' whispered conversation. They were whispering amongst themselves. Now finally the day of the wedding arrived. And Bishambarnath, all right, now this man was a well-to-do grocer. He had money. So when he came with his barat, all right, he came ridden on a horse. There was a band playing Indian film music in the front. So it was quite a grand procession. He brought his family, his friends, and Bholi's father was very proud and happy that his fourth daughter, whom they thought would never get married, was getting such a big wedding reception. And even her elder sisters, the three elder sisters, they were jealous looking at how glamorous the wedding was turning out to be. When the auspicious moment came, the priest said, "Bring the bride." Bholi, clad in a red silken bridal dress, was led to the bride's place near the sacred fire. "Garland the bride," one of his friends, prompted Vishambanath. The bridegroom lifted the garland of yellow marigolds. A woman slipped back the silken veil from the bride's face. Vishambar took a quick glance. The garland remained poised in his hand. The bride slowly pulled down the veil over her face. So, now the ceremony, you have seen Hindu marriage ceremonies, right? So the bride came, she had her face covered with a red veil, and one of the friends who was accompanying Vishambanath said, garland the bride, all right? They handed him a garland of marigold. And before he could put the garland over Bholi, the veil was removed. And when Vishambanath saw Bholi's face, he stopped for some seconds, all right? And Bholi, she covered her face again. Have you seen her? Said Vishambar to the friend next to him. She has pock marks on her face. So what? You are not so young either. Maybe, but if I am to marry her, her father must give me 5,000 rupees. Ramlal went and placed his turban, his honor, at Vishambar's feet. Do not humiliate me so. Take 2,000 rupees. No, 5,000, or we go back. Keep your daughter. Be a little considerate, please. If you go back, I can never show my face in the village. Then out with the 5,000. Tears streaming down his face, Ramlal went in, opened the safe and counted the notes. He placed the bundle at the bridegroom's feet. See, before Vishambanath didn't want any dowry. Now that he saw his face, Bholi's face, he said that she has pock marks. His friend said, so what? You are not so young either. And Vishambar says, well, if I am to marry her, you will have to give me 5,000 rupees to Bholi's father. And 5,000 rupees was a very big sum because this story is set way back in the past. So